which is going to perform an assignment based off of a condition, and its basic format's going to be variable is equal to, there's going to be a condition here followed by a question mark, and this is the value it's going to be assigned if it is true, and this is going to be the value that's assigned if it's false. And to show you a real example, let's say we have integer largest num, and in this situation I'm going to use real numbers. We're going to have our condition is 5 greater than 2, put our question mark. If it's true, then we're going to assign the value of 5 to largest number, and if it's false, we're going to assign the value of 2 to that number. And then of course we could print that out on the screen. So that's simple. Ternary operator. Now let's take a look at arrays. Now arrays are just going to store multiple values of the same data type. So let's come in here and provide our data type for our array. Just think of arrays like boxes, because that's basically what they are in memory. So let's have an array here, and you have to define inside of arrays how many boxes you need or how many pieces of data you want to store in them at the very beginning, and then this cannot be changed. We'll look at vectors later whenever we want to look at a way to change those values. Could also come in here and let's say we want a array full of bad numbers, and it's also going to need 5 spaces to hold these numbers. This situation, we could come in here and type in all these numbers that we want to store, right like that. You're going to be able to get the first item in the array with a label, and the labels for all of these array items are going to start with 0. So this is going to have an index or label of 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we want the very first bad number in this array, we're going to type in 0, just like I said, and change this to bad nums. Compile and execute, you're going to see the 4 pops up because that has the index of 0. We're also going to be able to come in here and create multi-dimensional arrays, which is just going to be boxes of boxes. So let's say I wanted to have a character array that's going to be multi-dimensional, and I'm going to have 5 spaces in the first array that's created here and 5 in the second array that's created here. I could then come in and define that I want to store the letters for my name. We're going to use 2 curly brackets in this situation. Then we're going to close off that first with a closing curly brace, and then open it up again. And here I can put my last name. Let me jump down to the next line so it's a little bit easier to see. And we're using characters here. Characters always use single quotes. Strings, as you're going to see later on, always use double quotes. And then finally, after we have all those in, put 2 curly braces in there closing, and there you go. That's a multi-dimensional array. If you would then want to get hold of and print out the, let's say, the second letter in the second array, use cout again, second letter in second array. We would go my name in this situation, and we want to get the second one. Well, in that situation, second is equal to 1, and then the second letter in the second array, go right like that, and there you can see right there A pops up, which is exactly the right one. You could also come in and change the value in the array just by using its index. So we'll say my name, and let's say we want to get the first array, which is 0 in this situation, and the second letter inside of it, or the third letter in this situation, and we want to change that to E. No problem. We can then come in here and change this to exactly the same place. Compile and execute, and you can see here the new value is E, just like we set it right there. Now I'm going to leave everything here because I'm going to use it while I demonstrate exactly how the for loop works. Now the for loop just allows you to continue executing code as long as a condition is true, and you're going to define it with for. Here I'm going to give the data type for the value that I'm going to increment, and I'm going to give it the initial value of 1. I'm going to say that we're going to continue incrementing as long as I is less than or equal to 10, and then we'll have to increment it right here, curly brackets. And inside of the for loop we could go cout and just print all of these on our screen. And there you can see it printed out 1 through 10. Now we could also come in here and use our multi-dimensional array by stacking inner for loops. And we'll just go for, and integer j is equal to 0. We're going to use 0 here because arrays start off with a 0 index. So we're going to say while j is less than 5. We're going to continue to cycle through here, and then inside of here we're going to put another for loop. Let's have this be k is equal to 0, k is less than 5, increment the value of k, and then we can come in here and print out my whole entire name by just putting j and k inside of there. And then finally, see I didn't put the end L in there. After it's done going through the for loop, I could then come in here and put the carriage return in and execute, and there you can see it printed out my name. Remember I changed the E here, and then it went and printed the last name. And that's what it's simply going to do. It's going to go to the first array, cycle through everything using this for loop right here, then it's come down here, and then J is going to come up here and it's going to print everything out. So that's how for loops work. Now let's take a look at while loops. Now you're going to use while loops instead of for loops when you don't know ahead of time when your loop is going to end. So let's say we have a random number, and this is how you would generate random numbers. inside of C++. We go rand, and let's say that I wanted to get random numbers between 1 and 100. Modulus 100, like that. Now this guy alone is going to generate random numbers between 0 and 99, so if I want 1 to 100, I'm going to put a 1 right here. Now with a while loop, I can say that I want to continue cycling through this loop as long as random number is not equal to 100. And we could print out on the screen the random number every single time. And in this situation, let's say we want to put a comma between there, close that off. But of course, you're going to need a way to get out of this while loop, so the random number is going to have to change. So go and generate another random number. Make sure we use the same thing again. And then after we are done with our while loop, put a carriage return in there. Oh, don't forget to put the equal sign in there. And now let's go and see how long it takes us to get to 100. And there you can see it, printed all those out right there on our screen. And I don't know, I'm not going to count how many of those are. It didn't take that long to come up with a random number of 100. Another thing that's kind of interesting is you can basically simulate exactly what a for loop does using a while loop. The only thing is we're going to have something that's going to increment for us. This index right here will do fine. And in this situation, of course, keep it outside of your while loop, just like we did with our random number before. And we're going to say that we want to cycle through as long as index is less than or equal to 10. And then inside of here, output, value of index, and then, of course, increment your index right here. And you can see you can do pretty much exactly the same thing you can do with a for loop with a while loop. And that brings us to do while loops. And they're going to be used whenever you want to execute whatever is in the loop at the very least one time. And I'm also going to talk about strings here for a second, because we're now going to also cover how to get user input. We create a string, which is just a series of characters. That's all a string is. Int, number, guessed. Give this value of 0. Start off. And then the do while loop is going to start off with do. And then in the very end of it, we're going to have the while part. So you know everything is going to be executed that is in the loop at least once, even if int number guessed is not equal to 4. So int number guessed is not equal to 4. And this is going to be a basic like guessing game. And you have to put a semicolon here at the end. Don't forget that. Now inside of this, we're going to get some user input. We're going to start off by saying that the user of our program is to guess a number between 1 and 10. We want to allow our user to enter some input, and to do that we're going to type in get line. We're going to type in CIN, which is going to be the source of the user input, which is going to be the keyboard in this situation. And then we're going to have to say where we want that value to be stored. In this situation, we're going to store it in the string number guessed. If we want to convert the string into an integer, we can then go int number guessed. We need to do this because this guy right here, we're not going to be able to compare a string to an integer of 4, but it's easy enough to change. We're just going to type in stoi, which is going to convert a string into an integer, and then we'll pass in number guessed, which is our string, and then we could print int number guessed if we would like, and this is going to continue to cycle until they enter the number of 4. And then if they get out of our do while loop, we could come in and go cout, you win. Otherwise, it's going to continue to ask them. As you'll see, guess between 1 and 10. I type in 1, ask me again, 2, now 4. You can see I won. Right? So there's user input converting from strings into integers, do while, and a whole bunch of other different things. Now let's take a deeper look at strings. Now in C++, in comparison to C, C++ is going to provide us with string objects. And like I said before, they are always going to be surrounded with double quotes. And just to cover this real briefly, inside of C, you would have previously made strings by saying something like happy array 6 like this is equal to, and then created a character array. So just type in happy, and then you had to always end it with a backslash, and then a 0 with a closing curly bracket, and that's how we were using strings inside of C. The C++ way is much better and easier. So we're going to say string birthday, string is equal to, space in there, birthday. And there we are, we're done. Now we could, of course, combine these guys, and how we're going to combine them is with a concatenation operator, or just a plus sign, or you can just call it combine. You can call it whatever you want. So birthday string, and there you can see it printed happy birthday. Combine both of those, printed them out to screen. Then perform a couple other different operations. Let's say, let's call this your name. Always need to define your variables before you use them. And then I'm going to have it come in and print out the screen to get you some user input. What is your name? Get line, it's going to get the user input, get it from the keyboard, store whatever they enter into your name, and then I could go cout, hello, put your name inside of there. What's your name? I can type in Derek, hello Derek, talks to me. Could then come in and create, let's say, a double in this situation. Euler's constant. You don't know what this is, don't worry about it. It's just a random number I thought of, or Euler thought of actually. I could then go string, Euler guess. If we wanted to do like a little quiz application, get an uppercase letter right there. Just makes it easier to be able to read the variable names. And then I'll go Euler guess double. And now I'll come in here, ask them what is Euler's constant. I could then get whatever they enter inside of here, and don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how to convert from doubles, or from strings to doubles. All you need to do to convert from a string to a double, and we're going to store it in Euler guess double, is type in, instead of STOI, STOD, right like that. And Euler guess is the string value they entered, and then I'll say if Euler guess double is equal to Euler constant, which you can see all those on the screen, curly brackets again, see out, you are right, and then else, you are wrong. Make sure you come in here and put an S inside of there. Euler's constant, Euler's constant. Execute, what's your name, Derek? What's Euler's constant? 0.57721. You're right. You can see exactly how that works. A couple other things we can do with strings. If you want to get the size or the number of characters in a string, see out, size of string. You could use Euler guess in this situation, and then just call size. So it's basically exactly what you thought it would be. Want to check if a string is empty, Euler guess again, and just type in empty. Great to use whenever you want to test input from a user. Could use append also to be able to add strings together. So we could get Euler guess and call append, and then add something like was your guess. Bounce out of there. There you go. Derek, 0.5. Let's type that in. You were wrong. Didn't matter. Size of strings equal to 3. See right there. Decimal 5. That's the 3. Is string empty? 0 comes back, or false. Well, it's obviously not empty. And then it prints out my guess there on the screen. Come in here and create another string. Let's call this dog string. Give it the value of dog. And cat string. Give it the value of cat. We can compare numbers. So let's say I want to see out, or compare strings, with the comparison function. And let's change this to dog, and this to cat, and change this to dog. And you can see in this situation, whenever a value is equal, like it is here, dog string and dog string, you're going to get a return value of 0. You're going to receive a 1 in this situation if it's less than, and a -1 if it's greater than. And this is all based off of alphabeticals. So we could also come in here and assign copies of a value to another string. We could go whole name is equal to, and go your name, assign, and I could say your name, and there you go. I could then get a substring. So let's say that I wanted to get the first name. Well, I would go whole name like that, dot assign, and I would pass in the string I want to work with, then the starting index from which I want to first start pulling characters, and then the number of characters I want, which is 5. I could then come down here, change this to first name. If I typed in my full name, then you're going to see that it just grabbed the substring of Derek. I could then perform a search on a string. So let's say that I wanted to find the index of my last name. I could get the last name index if we did not know it. I could type in your name, and then find, followed by the substring that I want to find inside of there, and the index that I want to start searching from. And then I could say index for last name index. There is my full name, and you can see the index starts at 6, and if you count over, you're going to see that B actually is 6. And also insert is going to allow me to put in a string at the index that I tell it to put it in. So I'll go insert 5, so starting in index 5, I want to put in the word Justin. Change this to your name just so you can see that here in a second. I could also erase or delete 6 characters starting at the index of 7. And I would just go your name again, the string I want to work with. Erase, starting at 6. I want to delete 6 characters starting at the 7th index. And then print it out there again. And then finally I could also come in and replace. Let's say I want to replace 5 characters starting at index 6. Well, there's the index 6. I want to replace 5 characters, and let's say that I want to change it to Maximus. So my new name will be Maximus. And make sure that is name, your name. And here's my name. And you're going to see all the changes that are made to it. Right there I inserted Justin inside of there. Right there I got rid of it. And then right here I performed a replace to change my last name to Maximus. So there is a lot of stuff about strings. Okay, now let's talk